If the Black Widow movie showed us anything, is that when Marvel wants to go dark and badass, it can totally deliver. Hey, what's up YouTube? It's your girl Mamba, and today I'm going to be reviewing the long-awaited solo film of Natasha Romanoff, our OG female Avenger and fallen hero. R.I.P. Nat. R.I.P. So please excuse the lighting. I'm shooting this at night and this is the best that I can do. Okay? So, disclaimer, this video will have spoilers. I'm not going to get into too much detail, but this will definitely have some spoilers. So if you haven't watched the movie, make sure that you save this video to watch later and just watch it later. Diving right in, we're going to start off with storyline. So when it comes to the storyline of Natasha's movie, I have to say that the plot really just kind of flowed for me. Like, there was really no dragging. There wasn't a moment where I was kind of like, oh god, this is really dragging. Or filler scenes, or I feel like unnecessary things that were happening in the movie. I think everything just kind of went from point A to point B with no problems and no hiccups. I'm not going to say the storyline was perfect, but overall, it was a solid piece. What I will say is that this is a Natasha Romanoff movie, so you're going to expect action. But I wasn't expecting that much action. It was badassery, basically, the whole time. The fighting scenes were just on a whole other level. Like, the high quality fighting choreography in this was just on some other shit. Like, Natasha was even deadlier in this movie than I've seen her in anything else. So I was really enjoying this because I'm all about fighting choreography, and the stunts were incredible. Some of the characters, the newer characters, we already know, okay? The Taskmaster, that was just good. That was delicious. Now, the three parts in the storyline that I want to kind of touch on is, one, the opening scene. This opening scene, to me, for some reason, just gave me Stranger Things vibes. Like, I was confused for a second. I was like, wait, did I click the wrong thing for a second? I'm just seeing some preteen riding her bike in this beautiful suburban area in Ohio. And I was just like, this is like Stranger Things. And then Hopper just jumps, Red Guardian shows up, and I'm like, Stranger Things. Now, the conclusion of the film, like towards the end of the film, when they're in the Red Room, in the clouds, that's kind of when the story, well, not the story, but the action kind of got really unbelievable. Like, there was a lot of exaggerated stuff. But it's a superhero film. I'm expecting it. It's just, I was spoiled because the whole rest of the beginning of the movie was just so good and so believable that I was like, okay, all right, yes, it's a superhero movie. That's right. Okay, so my favorite part in the ending was definitely like that widow gang fight that they had with Natasha, right? When she was like fighting off 30 widows, and let me just say, she was holding it down, okay? She was kicking ass and taking names. It was good. And some of the little things, like there was so much going on in that scene that you had to pay attention, but some of the stunts that they were doing, I mean, oh my god. Well, what really kind of just was when the whole thing was collapsing and falling out of the sky, and Yelena falls out, and then, true to Nat, she just grabs some fucking parachute that was just hanging around and just skydives her way to her sister, like laser beamed, like she was locked in and knew exactly how to get to her, and then manages to put the parachute on her successfully while skydiving to their death. That was a little much. Overall, the ending of this movie just felt good. This whole piece, it felt good. The movie made sense. It fits in the timeline. Do I wish it came out during the time that it was actually playing to? Yes. But overall, it was a solid freaking movie. Do I feel like Dreykov should have had a much worse death? Yes. Okay, it was very Cersei Lannister. Okay, it was like, really? She's gonna die in the arms of her lover? Just with a building collapsing. That's a quick death. That's not even what she deserved. That's kind of how I felt about Dreykov. So the after credit scene, obviously we're seeing the MCU series kind of blending and mixing up with the actual films, which was cool, because then we see Valentina talking to Yelena and recruiting her, kind of like how she recruited the US agent at the end of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So that was getting me excited and pumped. Now I'm just going to jump into the category I really want to talk about, which is characters, okay? And I'm only going to touch on a few characters. As far as Natasha Romanoff, our main character, she, there's not a lot of character development in this story for her, and that's okay. that's all right, because technically her character development has been happening steadily over the films of the Avengers. So we do see that rough exterior kind of soften up a bit and more emotions out of her. So I wasn't expecting her to have a lot of character development in that, kind of like the show Loki, because it wouldn't have really been that believable. Because Natasha, like I said, she's an assassin. There are things that she is programmed with that I don't feel like she will truly ever soften to that point. That's just not built in her. And you see that in their family dynamics. That even at the end, there's not like a mushy, like, oh, our family's reunited and, call me every 5 minutes. Like, no, they're kind of just like, listen, we were thrown together for 3 years in Ohio and we connected and we're always going to be there for each other. But that's about it, okay? And I really like that because I felt like that made more sense for this assassin family. So to me, this movie just kind of played more to Natasha letting go of some guilt that she carries. That's what was her drive to join the Avengers in the first place, all the regret. And obviously we find out that she blames herself for, well, she thought she killed Antonia Dreykov, so she thought she killed a child along with everyone else that she killed throughout her life. And this was more about closure for her and being able to also have closure with her family as well. So I thought that was really the main point of this movie. Solid. Now let's talk about Yelena Belova. So her little sister, baby sister, was definitely a fan favorite, like an audience instant hit. Even for me, I was definitely on board. I was on the Yelena train because Yelena reminds me a lot of Black Widow naturally, but she's funnier and sarcastic with a Russian accent. Like, what? That cosplay is going to be serious this year. I'm just saying. Hot assassin girl summer. That's all I'm saying. And lastly, the chemistry between Yelena and Nat just feels so natural. They weren't mushy either. It just flowed. The two actresses really just sold that sisterhood for me. Up next, we're going to talk about the Red Guardian, or Alexei. Another huge audience favorite. I am a little biased because I'm a huge Hopper fan from Stranger Things, but the transition for freaking Hopper to Alexei is crazy. Okay, from being disgruntled and not funny at all to the comedic relief in this movie, and also keeping a balance of an emotional connection to the girls because he was able to do both. So it was awesome. And I think everyone already knows this. If you haven't thought it, you probably heard it. Either way, how similar this was to Mr. Incredible from The Incredibles. Like trying on the suit again after gaining all this weight and reliving his glory days. It was just so spot on. Like, are we gonna get an Incredibles movie? Because we already know who's being cast as Mr. Incredible. I'm not gonna spend too much time on Milena because I feel like she was just much less important than the rest of them. But obviously, she was a solid character. Not a lot of emotion out of her, which is supposed to be expected. The woman went through like the Red Room like 4 times. I mean, she's a very controlled character. So there wasn't a lot of emotion there. She did have feelings towards the girls. You did feel that, but in her own way. So I think she was important to be in this film. I do enjoy her. Was it the end of the world? Not really for me. But what I really like is when Milena and Alexei are with the girls, how that really weird dysfunctional thing is happening. Like, they're not assassins. And she starts talking about Natasha slouching and Alexei's like, oh, listen to your mother. Oh my God. That was hilarious. That scene at the family table. And lastly, we're going to talk about the villains in this story, which is a combination of Dreykov and Taskmaster. I think this combination really worked out because I don't think either one of them alone would have been able to sell this film as well as it did. So Dreykov, not going to spend much time on him either, but he was completely believable and scary in his own way. Like, I believe there's a person out there just like this kidnapping girls and doing weird shit, So I really liked his character. Great actor. Solid. Now let's talk about Taskmaster, because Taskmaster was pretty much the cherry on top with everything. The fighting choreography in this, it was so fucking good. That first scene when he crashes into Natasha at the bridge, well, she crashes into Natasha at the bridge and fights her and mimics her famous move where she crawls on the person's shoulder and just like does a fucking somersault or whatever, mimics it, was so cool. Now, The thing about Taskmaster is a couple things. Huge fan of this villain, but when they said that she mimics everything, I have to say, in all the fighting scenes, I didn't really see a lot of it. I saw Natasha's move, and I saw Captain America's move when she was fighting Red Guardian, when she kicked up the shield and like she caught it. That felt like, yeah, they said that she knows all the Avengers fighting. I don't know. I didn't see much of it. Saw one or two things. If you guys saw more, comment it down below and let me know when, because I would love to catch it. There's just a lot going on. But that's all that I was able to catch. And then, you know, the whole twist of her being Antonia Dreykov, I saw it coming. Like, I really saw it coming. They hinted enough about the little girl for me to know. But I kind of wish if they were going to change the gender of Taskmaster, that they would have just made her look like a fucking girl in the uniform. Like, what's the big deal? I don't know why they wouldn't just make her look like, is it for the surprise aspect? I think most people could have figured that out. But no lie, the Taskmaster fight scenes were just so awesome that I wanted more of it. Like, I felt like we could have had a little bit more Taskmaster. It would have been so good. And not for nothing, side note, guys, why do I feel like if The Mandalorian and Dark Link from Zelda Ocarina of Time would have had a baby, it would have been Taskmaster? I mean, if you know, you know. Overall, I feel like this film was a solid addition to the MCU legacy. But I have to say, I really wish this movie would have came out during the time frame that it's taking place, because watching Natasha again in all her glory and just seeing that smile on her face at the end of the movie just makes me want to bring back Thanos and just chop him in the fucking neck, preferably with Captain Shield, okay? Like, it's so frustrating to watch it after I've already mourned her death. But this film is completely rewatchable. The storyline works. The villain is freaking great. The characters are awesome. So I really don't have much negative things to say out of the nitpicking of little things that I feel like they could have changed. So for me, this movie gets an 8.5 out of 10. I really enjoyed this movie. For those of you who liked it, who loved it, who hated it, put your rating down below and why, and let's talk about it. Now, before I go, I'm not going to speak on the Easter eggs of this movie, because there are so many videos on YouTube that go into depth for it, and it kind of deserves that kind of attention. But what I will say is that my favorite Easter egg is definitely the introduction of another X-Men mutant. I mean, am I finally gonna get a Gambit movie? Anyway, you guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and make sure that you comment below your ratings and what you thought so we can discuss it in the comment section. And if you want to see my upcoming videos that are going to be reviewing TV series, movies, everything, unboxing videos are coming soon, make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell. So I will check you out in the next video. Mwah! Peace and chicken grease.